Hello, this is Noah Wilkerson back again with another edition of Old School Boxing Talk. Since we last chatted here, folks, lots happened. Let's see, what do we get to happen since we talked last? Deontay Wilder made an example of Anthony of Brazil. Wilder took out Brazil in one round. Brilliant. I mean, I'm watching that fight. I heard that right hand. It's like you just sound like a car engine backfire when he hit Dominic Brazil. And down went Brazil, and well, Deontay Wilder staked, his claim that hey, I just might be the man here. I'm the man here. So so Deontay Wilder made his claim. First round knockout of Dominic Brazil. Been all over Twitter. Highlight reel knockout. And Deontay Wilder and Bomb Squad, set the bar for the week after, for a couple weeks down the road, which took place last night at Madison Square Garden, where Anthony Joshua took on Ruiz. And again, there was a Twitter highlight reel deal. But only, unlike Wilder's, Joshua's is one he'd like to forget, as the highlights showed Andy Ruiz just bouncing Anthony Joshua off the canvas. I watched the fight live. The first two rounds, I had it one round apiece. I gave the first round to Ruiz, second round to Joshua. Round three, um, started out, like the first ones did, but then in the somewhere in the middle of the round, they got an exchange, and Joshua got the better of the exchange. Joshua wound up hitting Andy Ruiz with a left hook that dropped Andy Ruiz, and I'm like, okay, here we go. But Andy Ruiz, much to my surprise, a lot of people's surprise, Andy Ruiz got the fuck back up. And then the fight began. Because Andy Ruiz got up and he had to look at the journalist and now we're going to fight. And Andy Ruiz then dropped Anthony Joshua. And Anthony Joshua looked at the referee. Anthony Joshua got up. Anthony Joshua said, oh shit, this is not what I signed on for. They banged some more. Andy Ruiz dropped Anthony Joshua again. Anthony Joshua was like, this is definitely not what the hell I signed up for. It's not supposed to go like this. But the bell saved him. He was up at the count of 8, but if it wasn't for the bell, if there was more time in that round, I think Andy Ruiz might have stopped him in that round. So, now, you get out of the initial rounds. Round 4 happened, and Andrew Ruiz kind of left off the gas. He just put off the gas. And Anthony Joshua looked like he was trying to get himself back into the fight, little by little. But it just wasn't to be. Ruiz fought brilliantly in round 5. He started retaking, command of the fight with body work, and his upper body movement, is his ability to see Joshua's telegraph punches, and then when Joshua slipped Joshua's stuff and fire back with his own combinations. Anthony Joshua had no answer for this. His corner had no answer for this. At the end of round 5, Anthony Joshua went back and he didn't know what the hell to do, and his corner didn't know what the hell to tell him to do. Round 6 was more of the same, and you could kind of see Ruiz's confidence growing and Anthony Joshua's confidence sinking. And you kind of knew this, either Joshua's going to, this kid's, the hope now is, if you're an Anthony Joshua fan, is if Ruiz gets stupid and walks into something big and Joshua gets rid of him, or this is not going to end well. And sorry, you got door number 2. It didn't end well. Ruiz jumped on Joshua, dropped him again, and Joshua, it was like, Joshua pretty much after the third knockdown pretty much mentally checked out. Ruiz, he got up though, probably got him up. Ruiz jumped on him, put him down again. Anthony Joshua spit out his mouthpiece. See, what I noticed is what they do in the UK is And I noticed with Anthony Joshua a lot is he doesn't like people that fight him. He has the referees in the UK when he fought Joseph Parker would not let Parker fight on the inside, and they, or when Anthony Joshua was able to turn around and walk to his corner and give himself a breather in that Parker fight and in a fight, Tanab fight, whatever. Here in the States, you can't do that crap. Referee got on him and said, hey, get out of your corner. You ain't no coaching here, because he tried to walk back to his corner, turn his back, talk to his people after he got up, and the referee's like, no, 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 we don't do that here. It's U.S. We don't do that here. Turn around, let's go. And needless to say, Anthony Joshua was gassed. Anthony Joshua, I don't know if, I'm not going to blame this on the fact of a last-minute opponent or he wasn't prepared. When you're the heavyweight champion, and okay, Big Baby Miller had a drug issue and he's out of the fight. You have an option to find. Don't say, "Oh, well, we took this guy on short notice." No, you have an option. You can either one say, "Okay, the Miller fight's going. We're going to find a new opponent," and give yourself more time to accumulate yourself to this new opponent, which is what they didn't do. They just picked Andrew Ruiz because, look, I ain't gonna lie to you. Everybody figured Andrew Ruiz was the same cherry pick. They lowballed Luis Ortiz, who I bet Luis Ortiz right now feels like shit because he's like, yes, even though Luis Ortiz is going to fight, even though Luis Ortiz has a rematch with Deontay Wilder. Just think about this: if Luis Ortiz had taken a fight, yeah, they lowballed him. But if he'd taken this fight, it would be Luis Ortiz with 3 belts now, and calling more shots. Then now he's got to go into the Wilder rematch, and he sees this kid Andy Ruiz, who Luis Ortiz is better than Andy Ruiz. He's got to be, what the fuck? This kid, are you kidding me? That could have been me. Now do I think Gerald Big Baby Miller would have beaten Anthony Joshua? No. Miller, one, doesn't punch. Ruiz has some good punching power, and Ruiz is fast-handed and knows how to punch. I don't think Gerald Big Baby Miller would have done enough. I think Miller was one of those guys that when Joshua cracked him, if Joshua would have cracked him like he cracked Ruiz in the second round, I think Miller would have then held off for dear life to just go 12. I don't think Miller would have got up like Andy Ruiz did and say, okay, now we're going to fight. I think Big Baby Miller, and he would pull his fat ass up off the canvas, and he said, okay, now how do I go 12? And that would have been his whole mindset, was just surviving. And it would have been a boring, dull fight. Anthony Joshua would have got booed out, he got booed, whatever. But this, congrats to Andy Ruiz, because he did what he was supposed to do. Take nothing away from Andy Ruiz. He did what he was supposed to do. He got the shot of a lifetime, and he made the most of it. And he is now the heavyweight champion of the world, the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world. Congratulations to Andy Ruiz. You did your job. You went in there, you got dropped, you got up off the canvas, you showed the heart of a champion, and like Teddy Atlas would say, you behaved like a fighter, and that's why you are where you are, and that's why Anthony Joshua is not where he is, because when Anthony Joshua was faced with adversity, he kind of said, I can't handle this kind of adversity. And you can see his body language from the moment he got up this canvas in the third round, the second knockdown, Anthony Joshua was like, okay, I just want to get through this. I just want to find a way. I don't care if I take a draw. I just want to get through this. I don't give a fuck about winning or losing. I just want to get through this. And that's how he fought the rest of the fight. Pretty much Anthony Joshua, the heavyweight champion, was fighting to survive. And Andy Ruiz, the hungry challenger, was fighting like the champion. Ruiz won. Eddie Hearns and them both, they got to be ass hurt now. Because they had a big money fight with Deontay Wilder. They kept fucking around. This reminds me, and Eddie Hearns is going to learn the same lesson that I think I talked about in the previous video, when Yuriorkis Gamboa and Juan Ma Lopez were both undefeated featherweight champions. And Bob Arum had them both. He had Juan Ma fighting on Showtime, and he had Yuriorkis Gamboa fighting on HBO. And HBO wanted to fight. Showtime wanted to fight. Everybody wanted to see, they're both young, they're both undefeated. The Puerto Rican and the Cuban, you got to make this fight, Bob. Bob Arum said, we got to let it marinate. Well, on the road to marination, Gamboa fought Orlando Salido, who dropped and hurt Gamboa badly. But Gamboa, much to his credit, got up, survived, and won on a 12-round decision. Well, what does Bob do? Well, let's see how Wama does against Salido. So we have some comparisons. Well, we all should know how that turned out. Salido wound up ending Wama, knocking Wama out the first time to win the title, knocking Wama out in the rematch, and of course, one of the better fights we could have had, Wama Lopez versus Yorkis Gamboa, was never happened because people wanted to let it marinate. Well, this is the same case. Eddie Hearns and folks did not want the Wilder fight. They said, let's let it marinate. Him and Barry and Eddie Hearns said, let's let it marinate. It'll get bigger. It'll get bigger. Well, guess what? It's not going to get any bigger because you see the bubble just burst. When AJ got knocked out, the bubble burst. And all you talk about, AJ's the A side. He's this, he's that. AJ ain't shit because now all roads lead through Deontay Wilder, who is the longest reigning champion in boxing. Has 9 title defenses. He's already the longest reigning heavyweight champion. This is what people don't realize. Deontay Wilder held the WBC heavyweight title before Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. Deontay Wilder, that's how long Deontay Wilder's been champion. He was champion even though Tyson Fury, let's not get it twisted. Tyson Fury is the lineal heavyweight champion. And lineal means the man that beat the man, that beat the man, that beat the man. Tyson Fury's lineage to the title goes all the way back to John L. Sullivan. So he's the lineal heavyweight champion. But before he became lineal heavyweight champion, the one belt that Vitaly Klitschko ever held, the WBC heavyweight title, was won when his brother won it after Lennox Lewis retired. The belts all got scattered. What happened is Vladimir Klitschko won the BC belt. The same belt, he won the BC belt. And his brother Vitaly wound up picking up the WBO, the IBF, the WA, and then when Vladimir Klitschko retired to go run for mayor or something in Ukraine, Vitaly Klitschko automatically became the lineal champion. But they dropped the lineage, went from his brother to him. Now the BC belt was out there. It was won by Samuel Peters, had it. Then Peters lost it to Vladimir Klitschko, and Klitschko came back. Vladimir Klitschko came back, recaptured the WBC title, then retired again. And when he retired the second time, the BC belt was won by Bermane Stiverne when he knocked out Chris Arreola. Stiverne then lost that belt to Deontay Wilder. But when he lost that belt, like I said, Vitaly Klitschko was still the lineal champion. Vitaly Klitschko, about maybe 2 months afterwards, lost the lineal title to Tyson Fury, who, of course, Tyson Fury never defended the title. Never defended it. He was talking about, Tyson Fury was talking about fighting Deontay Wilder. But of course, Tyson Fury had his issues that he had to go away, take care of his issues, and come back. And he did fight Wilder, but it was a draw. But Wilder's held that title longer than any other active champion in boxing. 9 title defenses, which puts him on an elite company of men that have made 9 consecutive title defenses. Ali during his second reign, Mike Tyson during his first run, Lennox Lewis during his second run. There's a list of men who made 9 consecutive successful title defenses. There's not many. The next level that he will tie would be Ali at 10 consecutive. He beat Luis Ortiz. He'll tie Ali at 10 consecutive, which was Ali's first run with the title before they stripped him of the title. Ali's first run, which he made 10 successful defenses before the government stripped him of the title. He never lost it. He was stripped of it. Then Ali went on to then of course, we all know what happened with Ali, but Ali is at 10 consecutive during his first run. Then there's other, but the point is making 9 consecutive title defenses is not easy. There's not a whole lot of people that have done it. So congratulations to Deontay Wilder for doing it. Should he beat Luis Ortiz the second time, he'll be at 10. And once you get past after 10, you start hitting the rarefied air of people that had 50, 12, get up there. Will he match Larry Holmes? And Joe Louis is number 1 at 25. Larry Holmes is number 2 at 21. And Klitschko, I believe, is number 3 at 19. How far Deontay Wilder gets is anybody's guess. But we know he's at 9. And there are a lot of guys that didn't even get to 9 consecutive defenses of the heavyweight title. So he's in, some pretty good company there. But back to last night, Anthony Joshua is a guy with skills. I like Anthony Joshua, because I really saw some of Anthony Joshua. And yes, Deontay Wilder is not the most polished heavyweight out there. He has that eraser, that he can make mistakes, because with one punch, he can end the fight. Anthony Joshua has shown that he can't do that. And he's shown that his chin is a little bit suspect and his heart is a little bit questionable, that he doesn't handle adversity in the ring well. Now, before we go writing Anthony Joshua off, let's remember a young kid named Lennox Lewis, who Riddick Bowe refused to fight and dropped the BC belt in the trash. Lennox Lewis went on and he won that title, and he had a good run, and then he got caught and beat by Oliver McCall. Lennox Lewis then fought his way back in there, got back in with McCall, and recaptured his title, and went on to have a great career. As we know, Lennox Lewis, Lennox Lewis had a great career. Both his losses, he avenged them to McCall. The other one, when he got caught slipping against Hasim Rahman in South Africa, Rahman caught him, knocked him out. Lennox Lewis came back in shape, took care of Rahman, picked up his straps, went on his run. That lasted him all day, and he left the business as champion. So before we write off Anthony Joshua, because remember, people had questions about Lennox Lewis's chin, and people had questions about Lennox Lewis's heart. Lennox Lewis proved that to us that he has the heart, and his chin wasn't as bad as we thought. There's a question that's going to have to be answered now. Is Anthony Joshua Lennox Lewis, or is he Frank Bruno? If he's Lennox Lewis, we're going to be in for one hell of a ride. If he's Frank Bruno, it was nice while it lasted. But only time will tell. We can't let this boy's first loss. Remember, another young heavyweight named Joe Louis, when he lost for the first time to Max Schmeling. His first step up. Schmeling turned around, won the title. And when Joe Louis got his rematch, Joe Louis destroyed Max Schmeling. Don't take a loss. Don't let us. And Joe Louis also lost his first fight, and he was knocked out. So before we go writing these people off, because they got knocked out and lost one, there are levels to this game. And it's all here. It's all mentally. What is Anthony Joshua? Like I said, is he Joe Louis? Is he Lennox Lewis? Or is he Frank Bruno? If he's Joe Louis and Lennox Lewis, then he's going to bounce back, and we got one hell of a fight. We're going to have one hell of a fighter, because he'll get smarter from that. If he's Frank Bruno, well, it was nice while it lasted. But aside of that, there were other good fights on this card with the Zone. Katie Taylor unified the women's lightweight title. Now, here's my problem with women's boxing. And women's boxing says it's made a revival and blah, blah, blah. You want to know why women's MMA is so strong? Because the women in MMA fight the same distance and same amount of rounds as the men. Women's boxing, until the women in boxing say, hey, we're tired of this 2-minute bullshit. We want 3-minute rounds. We want 12-minute title fights. Until the women in boxing step up and say we want the same thing as the men, women's boxing is not going to be taken seriously, because it's not. It can't be. You're not as good as the men. You're not on equal footing. They want to be paid like the men, but they don't want to do the work the men. The women in MMA are doing the same work as the men, fighting the same distances, the same top, everything for the men's rules are the same for the women in MMA. Women's boxing, if you want to get to that next level, you have to tell them, the commissions, hey, we want the same rules the men have. Step up 3-minute rounds. We want 12-minute title bouts. We no more of this, mealy stuff, because if we're going to be taken seriously, we have to step it up. And is Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields, the women, have finally take the women's boxing to the next level, or are they going to do same old, same old? Katie Taylor's a hell of a fighter. I liked her fight last night that she had. I thought it was a close competitive fight, but I thought Katie did enough to edge that one out. Very close. It was the first time I've seen Katie fight where I can say Katie actually lost some rounds. I gave to Katie 7 rounds to 5 for Katie. There are people that thought Katie lost. I thought she won 7 rounds to 5. I think a lot of that's because we're so used to Katie Taylor just dominating everybody. She could sit there with this girl who came from Belgium that really gave her a fight. That we kind of gave the girl, more props and made it, because we're not used to seeing Katie in these fights. Then this Katie had a fight, and Katie showed she can fight. So, Katie Taylor, congrats. She joined Clarissa Shields as the second woman, and as one of the 3 women, I believe, in women's boxing that are undisputed. I think Breakhurst is too. I don't know. Callum Smith made his return to the ring since I think his second return since the Super Series, and he knocked out Nadam Andu. It is what it is. Then there's I guess the kid Josh Taylor, the welterweight, was given a draw against Ray Robinson. A lot of people felt Robinson won. I have no issue with a draw. I felt it was close. It could have went to either Robinson or a draw. I think Robinson, had he done a little more to steal a couple more rounds, he could have done more to, Ray Robinson needs to fight these guys. He gets in these fights, and he does just enough not to lose, but not enough to win. If that makes sense to any of you. But that's what Ray Robinson needs to do. Just enough not to lose, and to make it competitive to stay there, but not enough to win. Because it's always, had he stepped on the gas a little bit more in a round or two, that could have, swing rounds, that he could have pulled off, but that's, that's that. Great. I mean, it was a good night of boxing. I mean, we had a good upset. That's going to shake the core heavyweight division for a while. We're going to see the fallout. Eddie Hearns is saying that there is the immediate rematch. There's a rematch clause, which I know Eddie Hearns is not letting Anthony Joshua fight without a rematch clause. And he wants to take the rematch to the UK. If I'm Andy Ruiz, that rematch goes to LA. I'm not going to the UK. You're going to fight here in LA because I think I can make the fight bigger here in LA, which he can. We've seen that the UK fans will travel. So good. Tell them to get their passports ready and come on back, and we're going to LA. And I think they'll have a hell of a fight in LA. I don't know until we get closer. They're talking about November, December. I want to see how things play out between now and then before I go making a prediction on that particular fight. Because I believe between now and then we have Deontay Wilder will rematch with Luis Ortiz. And we have some other things going on, so we got time. Of course, this week also, I'm writing this Saturday, is the return of Gennady Triple G Golovkin, or as is fighting some bum. You know what? I don't know if I'm so. My feelings about Golovkin, I think, are they're a little clouded. I think because I am one of the world's biggest, and I mean biggest, Marvin Hagler fans. There are only a handful of fighters that I grew up with that I am totally a fanboy for. Marvin Hagler is one of them. Matthew Saad Muhammad was one of them. Salvador Sanchez, Roberto Duran, and oddly enough, Pernell Whitaker. Those were guys that I was really fanboys of that could do no wrong. So when they, because I to this day I still say Hagler got robbed against Leonard, and I'll say it to my dying day. So whatever, leave me alone. Anyways, I think a lot of my feelings about Golovkin stem from the fact that these idiots that call themselves boxing writers or boxing experts were comparing Golovkin to Hagler. I think that's probably why I also don't like Bernard Hopkins. Because here's my thing. Marvin Hagler, at his best, would wipe the floor with Bernard Hopkins and Gennady Golovkin. And all the middleweight division today. None of these guys could touch Hagler. And yes, my old school bias, because I'm a guy that came up with 15-round fights, and I believe this 12-round bullshit is bullshit. And, but I like my 15-round guys over these 12-round guys. But here's my problem with Golovkin also stems from the fact that here's a guy who, him and his camp, came out and told the world, I will fight anybody from 154 pounds to 175 pounds. Anybody. Then, when he gets called out by Andre Ward, he says, well, we want you to come down to 164. Well, Andre Ward's a natural light heavyweight, even though he's fighting 168. Andre Ward ain't weighed 164 pounds since the amateurs. Well, you said anybody from 154 to 175. I'm 168. I'm a weight class above you. Then he decides when he calls out Carl Froch, says, yeah, we can fight at 168. Now, hold on a minute. Andre Ward, who beat Carl Froch, you want him to go to 164, but you want to go to 168 for Carl Froch. Then, Laura at 154 called Golovkin out. And Golovkin said, oh, I'm only coming down to 154 for Floyd Mayweather. But you said anybody from 154 to 175, you want to smoke with. And then the minute these people call you, then here's another, then you sit there talking shit on Sergey Kovalev. This is before Kovalev fought Andre Ward. And Kovalev called you out. All of a sudden, HBO shoved Andre Ward in Kovalev's face to group Kovalev. That's people don't realize. When you was talking about, I beat Sergey Kovalev up in sparring, and you and Abel talking shit, and you said anybody from 154 to 175, and Sergey Kovalev called your asses out, all of a sudden, that's when HBO said, oh, we're going to make this Ward-Kovalev fight. And people in the boxing media told Andre Ward, well, why are you picking on Gennady Golovkin? Go pick on Kovalev. Why Golovkin came out there running his mouth. Marvin Hagler, throughout his whole career, never called out anybody above him. Marvin Hagler said, I'm a middleweight. This is where I'm at. If you want some smoke with me, come to 160. Because Marvin Hagler wasn't a big middleweight to begin with. Marvin Hagler honestly could have fought at 154 if he wanted to. But there was really no money at 154. The money was at 160. So I think that's why Marvin fought there. But Marvin could have made 154. But Marvin Hagler was coming in to fights 158, 157, 158, sometimes 159. But for the most part, Marvin Hagler was not a big middleweight. So Marvin Hagler was 5'9". I think Marvin Hagler could have made 154 if he wanted to. But he didn't want to. And he didn't have to. He let the world know, if you want smoke with me, I'm at 160, come see me. He didn't say anybody from here to here. He said, no, I'm at 160, come see me. He didn't call out Michael Spinks and Saad Muhammad and boys at 175 because I'm not going there. I'm barely good. I'm here. I'm at 160. I'm not even I'm not a big middleweight. I'm a small middleweight. And when you see him in fights with guys like Dwight Davison, Tony Scipion, you seen Hagler was not a big middleweight. Um, but Hagler was a skillful middleweight. You know, and I think that's part of my problem when they compare these guys, especially guys like Golovkin, to guys like that, to like guys like Hagler. I'm like, come on, there's no comparison. And then you get that, then I'm expecting you to show me something, but then you sit there and you talk smack and you don't back it up. When the middleweight division had nothing in it, you was the king, and the best fighter you fight was David Lemieux. And then the minute them boys at 154, Charlo, and all them boys started moving up, Charlo moved up to 160. All of a sudden, oh, wait a minute now, we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem. You fight little ass Miguel Cotto. Yeah, you quick to, the same Gennady Golovkin who was quick to jump on shit and want to fight, jump on fighting Miguel Cotto, or jump on fighting Canelo Alvarez. Now, when you're told to fight Jermell Charlo, you're like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Now it's a problem. And I'm gonna tell you what, for whether it's Gennady Golovkin, whether it's Canelo Alvarez, you boys got a shitload of problems. Whoever's in that middleweight championship, Demetrius Andrade, you boys got a shitload of problems because Jermell Charlo's just the beginning of your problems. You think Charlo's a problem? He's the beginning of your problem. Don't let the fact that Jarrett Hurd, because Jarrett Hurd went and lost to J. Rock Williams, but Jarrett Hurd's about to come too. And J-Rock's about to come. There's a bunch, and the other Charlo's brothers about to come. And Harrison's come. There's a whole shitload of talented boys at 154 about to make that threshold. Real soon, sooner than later. So all you belt holders at middleweight, y'all better get ready, because the fire, and y'all not just getting smoke, y'all getting fire. It's coming. Y'all can hold the gates back, because now you're talking about Jermell Charlo, talking about, if these punks won't fight, I'm going to go to 168. All right, you chase Charlo out to 168. Don't think if you get Charlo to go to 168, your problem's also there. Woo, we got through that one. No, because his brother coming, Jarrett Hurd coming, J-Rock coming, Laura coming. You got guys that, and you got the other little boy, what's his name? Jaime Munguia. You got work coming. You got fire coming, not smoke, fire. Charlo was the smoke. You now got, and it was a thick smoke too. Now you getting the flames. Now the fucking floor is about to burn up. Because them boys at 154, all there's some big boys, they coming. Now I don't know about Munguia, because Jaime Munguia hasn't really impressed me much, but that could also be for the fact that he's struggling down to get to 154. He go to 160. Jaime Munguia might be a whole different animal at 164. At 160, Jaime Munguia might come to 160 and be like, oh shit. And he might beat that beast that he looked like against Saddam Ali. We don't know yet. But I'm going to tell you Jarrett Hurd, I'm going to tell you J. Rock Williams, Jamal Charlo, Tony Harrison, Laura. There's a shitload of boys at 160, at 154, coming to 160, that are going to be trouble. So whether it's Canelo, whether it's Triple G, y'all realize that regardless of what happens, either, even if y'all get Charlo to get out of there, to get out of 160, there's boys coming. Jarrett Hurd and them, and Tony and J-Rock, them boys is coming. That trouble ain't going away. It's coming. The middleweight division, and the thing is, and don't think it's going to be easy, because see, now what y'all trying to do is y'all trying to get Earl Spence to forget about the unifying at 147 and just jump up to 160. And the people around Spence are smart to say, nah. Because Spence sees what's happening. Earl Spence going to unify his thing at 160. And he knows that, you know what? I don't think Terrence Crawford's going to get hired at 147. But there's a bunch of these boys here at 147 that we going to go and take over 154. Because the 154 boys, they going to 160. And the smoke it's getting real. Look for the next couple years for Spence to clean out 147 and move to 154. And before he get there, them boys at 154 are all going to be at 160. Now, I don't know what Canelo and I think Triple G going to go. Triple G going to probably bow out. I don't think he makes his 6-fight deal with DAZN. Hell, I don't even think DAZN will be around another couple years. I don't know. Maybe it'll surprise me. I don't know how long DAZN gonna be around. I'm enjoying it while it's here. So while it's here, I'm enjoying. But look, in the next couple, that 160-pound division is about to blow up. And if you force Charlo up to 168 because you won't fight him then, and Charlo go to 168 and start dominating up there, what you gonna do then? For Golovkin, look, man, that's my issue. I understand fighters faking fights for the most money. Granted. But don't tell me the Charlo fight. And I'm not saying Charlo's innocent, no, this because Charlo's been taking a shitload of step-aside money. Charlo could have forced himself that fight. He could have forced it because he's mandatory by the WC. He could have went to WC, look, you even get my title shot, my title, or I'm taking your ass to court. And the BC don't want to go to court. Now, I know Mauricio Suleiman, he's talking all that shit, but he ain't trying to go to court because he know he's dead wrong. The U.S. Supreme Court will get his boy a shot. He's been here long enough. Feed a mandatory, get his boy a shot. You don't want WC. Don't never want to go to court because they know they can't win in court. They got so much bullshit on. They know they can't win. But Charlo's not forcing the issue. What he's doing is Oscar and Canelo sending that step aside check. He's stepping aside, talking shit to the media, but he's taking that check. So that's why I'm not really gonna. My things with Charlo is if you keep taking step aside money, I can't sit there and run and get on the front and say, oh, you're jipping him, you do this, because you take the step aside money. So even though you bitching about it, you still taking that cash step aside money, you still cashing that check. So yeah, so you putting yourself in that position. So, for all these fighters that take the step aside money and sit there and bitch about not getting title shots, if you take a step aside money, you need to shut up. Don't even talk to me about it. If you take a step aside money and then the other fights are being made, every time they want to make a bigger fight, they slide you that check and you go cash that check. You know what I'm saying? So, we got a lot of good boxing action coming up. We really do. It's a great time to be a boxing fan. Hell, I still got some fights on. FS1, Devin Alexander fought. I gotta watch that in the prelims. I got that fight to watch. I'm gonna rewatch. I'm gonna rewatch the DAZN, Anthony Joshua again. Rewatch that. Oh my goodness, it's a good time to be a boxing fan. So till next time, it's Doug Wilkerson checking out. See you at ringside.